Well, it looks like both the fronts fell off. G'day guys, up for comparison today we have two 125mm circular saws. These saws, very common in Japan, not so much in the rest of the world. Both of these have been imported from Japan. Both of them though are actually made in China. On the right we have the Makita HS005G and on the left the HiKOKI C3605DB. These are both 36 volt tools, and in this video they will both be using 2.5 amp hour 36 volt batteries. Before we compare the features of these two tools, I just need to say thanks to Robert. He lent me this tool. Cheers man. Never met me before, just handed over his brand new tool that he's imported. He's never used it. I'm the first one to get to use it, so thanks man. Much appreciated. Feel free to contact me at the email down below if you want to send me some of your tools to play with. Anyway, let's take a look at them. They are both, of course, 125mm. They both sit nicely when you stick them on the side like that to make it easy to change the blade. I like that. They both have nice, super shiny bases. They both have onboard tool storage for changing your blade. They both have 2 speed settings. They both have blowers. They both have replaceable and adjustable saw sightline guides. Overall, they are very similar looking tools. They both reverse bevel. Why do they both reverse bevel? Because they have a very cool feature, which is the most important. They both have a front that comes off. The HiKOKI one slips off much quicker and easier than the Makita one, although the Makita one's maybe just a bit tougher and a bit more elegant. The depth settings on the back here are pretty similar, although the Makita one looks slightly easier to see than the HiKOKI. Speaking of easier to see, the Makita has 2 knobs for releasing your base. You've got the one at the front here, flick that forward, turn that, you can now bevel your base. The HiKOKI just has the one, 45 degrees. 45 degrees. When you've got your front off, you want to bevel the opposite direction. Now when you come to do that, both of these tools need the base lowered a little bit because they will clash with the battery and the housing of the motor otherwise. So once you've lowered your base a bit, you then need to flick the stop to the side so you can then bevel the opposite direction like so. You can then lock it in place and set it all the way down to 15 degrees. With this one, similar system. Push the thing out of the way with the little stop there, lock it in place, but unfortunately the marker for seeing what degree angle you're at is down behind the actual stop, which is a bit of a design flaw. The HiKOKI, the marker on there, can you even see it? It's very hard to see. If this was my tool I would be putting a black mark or something on there so that, or a red mark, so it was a bit easier because it's just a slight indent of silver on silver, which only works down to there and then at that point goes behind the stop, which is a little bit crazy. Anyway, they both bevel that direction so that you can now flush cut with these tools. Run this up against a skirting or a baseboard or a wall and you can now cut hard up against it, which is very, very cool. They both have a light, but the HiKOKI you can change the light. On the HiKOKI you can have the light set on, so it is kind of always on. You can have it set to on-off, where it will work like most tools. When you pull the trigger, it will come on, and about 10 seconds later it will go off. Or you can set it to just off. So a lot of lighting options there. This tool was made in May 2021. This one was made in September 2020. Oh, it's already old, man. It's over a year old already. Now, when it comes to the speed of these two tools, like I said, they're both 2-speed. The Makita's top speed is 6,000 RPM and its lower speed 4,500. So there's a 1,500 gap there. This one, the top speed is 7,000 RPM. That's the highest I've ever heard on any circular saw I've ever seen. And its lower speed, the silent mode as HiKOKI call it, is 3,500, so it's half the speed. So 3.5 and 7, 3,500 difference. This one only 1,500 difference. How does that relate to cutting? Well, we'll check that out shortly. Is there anything else I need to tell you before I go and make those cuts? Well, the Makita has a space here for putting a rafter hook, whereas this one doesn't. But under here, if you take this off, which isn't the easiest thing in the world to get off, please don't break. You have this area here where you could put a front handle on it, because as you'll notice, there's no handles on the front of these things. There's not even a handle on the Makita 165X GT saw. But you have this space here for the HiKOKI if you wish. Take off that bit of plastic and bung a handle on there. Don't know how much the handle costs. Neither one of them came with a dust port thing either. And also both of them look like they're metal, but both of these are actually plastic. So we'll go outside and do some cuts now. This one has a 45 tooth blade on it. This one, I believe this was a 35 tooth. It's a little bit hard to see now. It might have been 42. It's definitely less than this one. I won't use Robert's blade. I don't want to destroy or damage his blade or wear it out before he ever gets to use it. Poor guy. Brand new tool, and I'm the first one to get to play with it. Woo! So I'll take that off and I'll use this blade on both of these. I need to get some more of these blades. They're not easy to get in this part of the world, so I'll have to order some more of those from Japan, I think. They do a fluorine coated Makita one. I think I'm going to order some of those. I like the fluorine coated blades. They seem to last so much longer and shit doesn't stick to them so much. The coating lasts forever almost. I'll go do a couple of basic cuts now just to check out the sort of depth of cut. Oh, depth of cut, they're both 47mm. Better say that. So we'll just check the power, how they feel, that sort of stuff. Then I'll come up with some way to show you how the flush cut works on both of these saws, which is presumably the reason why you bought it. Because if you're trying to cut out a floor or anything, these are the best tools around. If you're trying to cut out floors or reciprocating saws or multi-tools or jigsaws or anything, stop right now. Go get one of these. And if you do want one of these at any point, I'll put a link to both of them down in the description. Like I say, you're going to have to get them from Japan. 6,000 RPM. $7,000 RPM. $4,500 RPM. Silent mode, 3,500 RPM. Well, as you just saw there, the silent mode, let's just listen to it. Starts off very quiet. I could basically talk over the top of it. That's a super quick break too. It's almost instant. So the silent mode starts off slow. Once it felt the resistance of the timber, kicked up speed. So it's more like an automatic mode. I don't recall that happening on the 36 volt 185mm HiKOKI saw with the silent mode. Pretty sure that just stayed at a low speed. It didn't change speeds as you were cutting. So that's interesting. I'm not sure whether I like it. I might just go and rip something with this now, something a bit longer than just the cutting 6x2, and see how it feels. Now you've got to use your imagination a little bit here. This is our floor, of course. This is the bottom plate of our wall, which would be up here, and this is our subfloor. I am going to cut on a 5-degree angle down from this board down like that. Exaggerated a bit there just to show you. I'm going to plunge cut the saw at the start because of course you can't just come into it. So we'll plunge cut, run along, and you'll see how it works. So I've struck a problem there. The 5 degrees isn't enough. It's still rubbing on the timber here, and it's given away that this is just a green piece of plastic that's been painted silver. So I'm going to chuck it on 10 to 15 degrees now, see how that goes. So a little bit of trouble here getting it hard up against the timber. It's close, it's not bad, and you could go along and just shave that off if you needed to with another tool. A sander would do it. Yeah, I think we can get closer than that with the Makita coming. Makita, I was able to get just a little bit closer with each cut. Not a lot, but makes a difference when you've got to go around and finish it later potentially. Okay, so I've tried a few different flush cuts with both of these saws, and I'd have to say I'm liking the Makita a bit better. This one had that clash in the front there. That one just feels a bit smoother. I can run it a bit nicer. It was a bit easier to plunge cut than the HiKOKI, but pretty similar. You know, you can get away with both of them, no problem at all. I was able to find I could get a bit closer cut with the Makita than each time I tried with the HiKOKI. I couldn't quite get as close as I got with the Makita. It probably just has something to do with the point at which it bevels, I'm guessing, and the housing, of course. But now what about a power test? A lot of guys, that's what you want to know. Which one's more powerful? Which one can cut the quickest, has the most grunt? So we'll try that now. I'll get a piece of 4x2 or something and we'll rip them. That's what I'll do. I'll get some H1.2 treated pink timber and I'll rip 3 meters with each one, put them on the screen next to each other, and you can see which one's the quickest. Better freshly charge up some batteries. Oh, how I love how straight kiln dried timber stays. Well, I don't need to watch the video to know which one won that battle. The HiKOKI was significantly faster. Percentage-wise, I don't know without looking at the footage, but I'd say it felt like it was about a third, 33% faster. Although I do notice here it has clogged up with shit, which the Makita one didn't do. It's a weird angle in there. This one, yeah, that's much smoother. There's a big ridge there which is just going to cause it to jam up like it has. It's all stuck underneath there too. Oh yeah, loaded up. Not the best blade though, of course, for ripping. Too many teeth on it. Anyway, when it comes to power, you saw it. It smashed it. The Makita, I don't know, the Makita still feels nicer, as is, you know, that's why a lot of guys buy Makita stuff. It just feels nice and smooth and just powers along nicely. This one sounds a little bit whiny, but it does have the power. I mean, this is a 125mm saw, and it just smashed that ripping. I mean, but of course it is a 36V tool, which gives it that extra power. If you haven't used a 36V circular saw yet, if you're still using the 18V ones, do yourself a favor, grab a 36V of some sort, because it's just that extra power. You know, you can often do something with an 18V, but it might struggle a bit, and that sort of thing. You don't have that with a 36V. You can just sort of power on through. They're just so much nicer and smoother, and Yeah, just much better to use. Now, is one of these better than the other? Ooh, well, I think it's one of those cases that you just buy whichever one depending on whichever platform you're already on, because they're both great tools. Features on this one I find are slightly superior to the HiKOKI, but power wise this one has the edge. So if you could cross the two of them, you'd have the perfect saw in my opinion. So cheers Robert for letting me have a play with this and use it to do a few little jobs and get it all dusty and dirty before you've even used it. If you want one and Robert won't lend it to you, take a look down in the description. There'll be some links down there if you want to buy one of these HiKOKI C3605, what was the last letters on it? DB, C3605DB, or the Makita HS005G. Both of these only available in Japan from what I can tell, so have a look down in the description if you want one where you live. And is there anything else you need to know about it? This one's got a hole in the back for hanging it on something, which the Makita one does not. Makita does have areas here to attach things to put them onto a rail to make it a track saw, which it doesn't look like the HiKOKI has. Both of them have quite a few adjustments. Out of the box, this one was square, that one wasn't, if I do recall. Now I know some of you are going to be saying, hey, Maffle, put the Maffle up against it. The Maffle, what is it, the KSS40? Yeah, we want to see that up against it. There's another person called Robert that I know will be saying that. You know who you are. Well, maybe I'll try and get my hands on one of those, eh? Anything else? Oh, weight-wise, they weigh about the same. I did weigh them, but I don't think I did it on camera. Now I'm just trying to remember what they were. This was a whisker under 3 kgs with the battery and the blade on it, I do believe. And this one was about another 100 grams lighter than this. So the HiKOKI with the blade and the battery is lighter than the Makita, but not by much. So I'll clean this HiKOKI up for Rob and put the front back on, and I will see you on another video real soon. Cheers guys.